I could not be more grateful to be here starting this year at the PRS. As a person who works at the intersection of fine art and spirituality, it's been a true miracle in my life to find myself at a place where I can speak honestly about my art-making process and talk about how my spiritual practice intersects with that art-making practice. I think I've spent my whole life trying places out to see if I could find a place where I could honestly speak about those two things in the same breath. And this is the place. So I'm so grateful to be here to think a little bit about not just what art making is, but also where it comes from. Those of us who have a practice, a daily practice of connection, whether that looks like meditation, whether that looks like contemplation, whether that looks like prayer. For those of us who engage with that connection every day, all that we make, all that we are, all that we speak is influenced by that. And I feel so grateful to have landed at a place where all of that can be said. So, thank you. I'm going to read a few poems that are spiritual in nature. I'm going to start with this poem that ends my last book. There are many, I also work as an opera librettist, and there are many poems in this book that take classical music or composer biography and sort of weave it together. This poem came about when a dear friend was quite sick and looking at what felt like it might be the end of his life, and we had a very frank conversation, and he made it very clear that he believes very strongly that there is no afterlife, that nothing would follow this life for him. And that made me think about what it might feel like to potentially be at the end of life and to truly believe that nothing would follow it. As a person of profound belief myself, that was almost that was something I had to think quite a bit about because I live on the other end of that spectrum. And it made me think about the last few moments of Gustav Mahler's life. As he was dying, Mozart appeared to him, Mozart came to him, and Mahler's last word was Mozart as this vision or visitation occurred. And so that's where this poem came from. Poem for Mahler and Mark. Mahler, too, grew sick. He spent his last day in and out of consciousness, both there and here, his hand conducting players on the worn edge of his quilt. Finally, his eyes shut, he said Mozart, slacked his head and died. I know you don't believe this, but you too will be greeted by your colleagues, both those you knew and never knew. Skepticism's only for the living. Those who build a wall from stone will find that stone is mansions past belief. Doubt is what will bury doubt and bone. With legal pads and folders, they'll crowd your final room. At hovering desks with blotters of jade, they'll sit with you, slowly explaining everything. And during my year here, I'll be, among other things, working my way through the books in the library and seeing what poems come from the material that is here on site. So I wanted to read a few poems, not that were written here, but that have spiritual or meditative nature to them. During meditation, I listen to the sound that's always ringing, the high bells of creation. When I asked my mother what that sound was, I'd listen as a small child in my bedroom. She told me there was nothing. I begged she listen with me, and we listened. I heard the air was tolling like a gold bell. She told me there was nothing. Now I spend my mornings hearing carefully all aspects of that pealing. It takes all time to make. On its low end, buzzing of a lit world, a kind of bare wire hanging, the electric shock that is. Higher, a kind of holy ringing, higher crystal singing, the song that water makes in air, mist that climbs the waterfall's high cresting and billows colors, a mist that alters. I listen to that sound and it grows bigger. What undergirds us becomes a river. Gonging, dinging, chiming, and the friction of all things rubbed together. It's this that loops the weather. Most days it is too quiet to measure. Some days it's an ether for the taker. Its high unrolls forever. This one is about the mindfulness that finds you even when you're not looking for it. The everyday. Old friends, old loves, I celebrate the day today you've found. The favored cup, the dog, the child, the husband, wife. The hat rack by the door, the bowl of keys, the chair in sun. Weekends with your omelets made just right. You graduated into the encyclopedic pleasures of the everyday, that brighter vision. The sharp phantasmagoria you enter when you watch your child through sprinkler water, that moving prism. Didn't I always tell you, lover, roommate, there were portals by the dish towels? You think you left your dreams. You've entered the basilica of the present by its common causeway. This your striving earned. Rainbow line. Not an arc above a misty glade, not between two cliffs, not through waterfall, but here on this peeling bathroom wall, one solid rainbow line, straight as new lead pipe. From the man-made shower door, sharp as the tools that cut glass, not a human finger, but an even strip, a ruler's edge of God, as if he's saying, I'll use any door. Yes, I am a parent in the wet glens, curving over daffodils, decorating streams. Also on the workbench with exposed bolts, also in the foundry, also on the wrench. Any glass you've made and cut can show me. Any light contains me. Any wall might host. Manufacture, slice, a prism finds you. Even sand with heat is glass. I love every room. The program that we're presenting tomorrow night has 3 aspects to it. First of all, we are celebrating the end of Wyatt Troll's exquisite exhibition that is up right now in the Fine Art Gallery here. If you haven't seen it, you might be able to see it tonight, but you can definitely see it tomorrow night. We'll be celebrating it, and it's really extraordinary. At 7:30, a program begins that has two halves. In the first half, I'll be presenting some immersive and interactive poems. These poems use musical technique to build experiences that have literature sort of woven into them. And then the second half of the program, composer Jody Landau will be giving a concert in the library. His work, if you've never heard it, is extraordinary. I saw him give a very beautiful concert at Disney Hall about a year and a half ago that five musicians from his label were together, each presenting their work at Disney Hall, and it was really something extraordinary. And all the performers who are part of Jody's program have performed at Disney Hall, so that will be something really, really wonderful to see as well. So anyway, that's tomorrow. The gallery is open from 6 to 8, and the live program starts at 7:30. So you're all invited, and I hope to meet you all during the year that I spend here. And especially thank you so much to Greg and the whole staff for having me. This is an incredible, more than a pleasure or an honor. It really has that exquisite feeling of having stumbled into a home, and I'm very grateful for that. So thank you.